My name's Steve Snyder and I'm in Montmagny, Belgium. I'm here to attend the 75th anniversary celebrations of the Liberation of Belgium and also of my dad's plane being shot down. My dad was a B-17 pilot. His plane was named the Susan Ruth after my oldest sister, who was 1 year old at the time that he went overseas. He and his crew were shot down over occupied Belgium on February 8th of 1944. And I wrote a book about it called Shot Down, the true story of pilot Howard Snyder and the crew of the B-17 Susan Ruth. It goes into detail about what happened to each member of the crew and about all the courageous Belgian people that risked their lives trying to help them. They were shot down by two Focke-Wulf German fighters, and two of the men were killed in the plane, the ball turret gunner and radio operator. The other 8 men were able to bail out. B-17 had a 10-man crew. After my father bailed out, he came down in some trees just at the French-Belgian border in Macanoise, and his parachute got hung up on some trees and was dangling 20 feet off the ground and couldn't get down. But fortunately for him, a couple of young Belgian men, Henri Franken and Raymond Dervin, came to his rescue before the Germans got there. And after that, he was moved from place to place to place. How often he stayed in any given house depended on how brave the Belgian people were who lived there, and how dangerous the Belgian underground thought it was for him to stay there. He might stay at a house one night, he might stay 6 weeks. That was awfully stressful for him because the German secret police, the Gestapo, could break in at any time, and he had some close calls of almost being discovered. And then finally he got tired of hiding. Word came that the Allies had landed at Normandy on June 6th, and so he decided to get back in the fight. And he joined up with the French resistance, the Maquis. His Belgian helpers took him across the border into France. And there they harassed the Germans. They would disrupt communications, sabotage railroad lines, attack German convoys. And then finally, 75 years later from today, September 2nd of 1944, word came that the U.S. troops were in the nearby village of Trélon, France. Actually, it was elements of Patton's Third Army, which had come up through France after D-Day. And so he walked into town, up to an army major, identified himself. They interrogated him to make sure that he was who he said he was. He caught a convoy to Paris and then took a C-47 transport back to his base in England. This is my 6th trip to Belgium. The 4th time that I've attended the anniversary celebrations. The first time was in 1994 with my parents for the 50th anniversary, and that was also very special for me because I got to go around and see all these places with my dad, and then attended the 60th, the 70th, and now the 75th. After Belgium, I'm going to Munich to visit Luftwaffe pilot Hans Berger. Hans Berger was one of the Luftwaffe pilots that shot down my dad's plane. Actually, the gunners on my plane shot down Hans at the same time. They shot each other down. And I interviewed Hans for my book. He gave me some wonderful information about what it was like to go up against the 8th Air Force. And we've become friends. And it'll probably be the last time I ever get to see him, since he's 95 and I don't know when I'm going to be back to Germany. I'm on the board of directors of the 306 Bomb Group Historical Association and immediate past president. So I'm heavily involved with the history of World War II, the air war over Europe, and the 8th Air Force. It's the mission of the 306 Bomb Group Historical Association to remember, honor, and educate. To remember the air war over Europe, to honor the men who fought it, and to educate the public about it, especially younger generations. And it's really why I do what I do. I go around the United States, I attend air shows all over the country, signing copies of my book, telling people about the air war over Europe and the 8th Air Force. I make a lot of PowerPoint presentations and speak to a number of groups, again, to keep the memory alive. World War II was 75 years ago, and it's fading in people's memory, and we cannot let that happen.